Well, happy Wednesday, everybody. It is Wednesday in February, which is Black History Month. I am Doug Robbins, wedding officiant and creator of Engagement and With This Ring and a few other things. Here to talk about things that basically tickle me pink. And today we're going to be talking about some things that we find engaging. So, welcome to Engagement. So I get this question all the time. So people say, "Hey, Doug, you have this sideline, this side hustle of being a reverend." Actually, my mail comes to Reverend Ron. That's my legal name. And you do weddings, and you have a channel called Engagement, and people get engaged, and you marry them. Is there a connection? Well, loosely, maybe it's maybe gravy on the potatoes, but or fries. It's more around engaging people and having an engaging conversation, and maybe re-engaging people too. And I happen to be an entrepreneur, and I also happen to be a person of color. So on this show, I thought it'd be really important. Basically, it behooved me to do a little bit of talk with those in my community that are Black entrepreneurs, Black business owners, Black leaders, basically, is what we are, a lot of us. And so we are episode 2, deep into talking with that. And today I'm really thrilled to have two great young leaders. We'll be leaving the planet to you guys, in the distant future. This one here is Frankie Parker Jr. or Frank Parker Jr., depending on how you know him. Great leader, great spokesperson for all things wonderful. And Brandon Chad, who's a up-and-coming entrepreneur, very creative, very musical, I just found out. And I've got them both here to have a little chit-chat with us today. So I'm going to bring them in. Here's Frankie, or Frank. Hey, Frank.
Hey, guys.
How's it going?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. And Brandon. How's it going, Brandon?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. You're so soft-spoken.
Yeah, just a little bit. I'll try to speak up.
That's okay. That's probably the way your mother raised you, right?
Yeah, that's it.
So, Frankie, we got you before you go off and do some more great things in the community. You're in a locker room. I'm not sure if we're expecting to have one of those moments where someone walks, buck naked through there. But we do have an R rating on our show. It's not for little kids. So if you're a little kid on here, you better call your mother in or maybe log off. But you're in a locker room. Is that correct?
I am. And it's funny you say that because the janitor literally just walked in as we were about to go live.
What can happen will happen. And
that's right.
You know what? It's all a giggle, and that's one of the reasons why I started this, is because it's good to have a little laugh. It's good to have a little giggle. And life is very serious, and there's a lot of very serious things happening around us. But when I started this engagement, it was supposed to be a political-free, safe place with curated conversations. So that's why we have astute people on like yourself and Brandon. So, Frankie, let's start with you. I know you've got a tight schedule tonight, so I really thanks for being on here. Thanks both of you, actually. I want to show a post that you had that I pulled off the internet, and it's this one here.
Yeah, that was a really nice post. The guys over at Peak, they really made my day when that got posted online there. So I always appreciate, somebody going out of their way to say such nice things.
Well, you're a good guy. You've been very much a leader in your own community, a leader in all communities, not just people of color, but for anyone and everyone. So tell us what you do for a living, so people know. I know what you do, but tell everyone what you do.
Yeah, so I personal train. That's my passion. That's where I like to spend most of my time. Unfortunately, with the circumstances and COVID, our gyms have been shut down, and it's just been a hassle. So unfortunately, I've had to pick up some part-time employment just to kind of fill the gaps. But personal training is definitely my thing. I do in-home and gym training. And like I said, I'm working part-time right now, so I'm also doing some utility locating. I have years of construction in my background, so it's pretty easy to step back in there. And I'm taking on a new role here this year. Well, I guess it's not a new role. I guess I'd be in my second year as an assistant coach here with the Windsor Express basketball team down in Windsor. Yeah, so it keeps me good and busy. And
it's good to be busy. I always, like I said a minute ago, I always watch the political fray. I don't typically get into politics. I have a political opinion. We all do. But that doesn't mean we should always share them. Without sharing a political ideology, whether I agree or disagree, I actually do agree. You were very much in the political fray last year when there was a march. And I love this picture. I found it online and I really wanted to share it. Despite my political position of not being political, I don't think it's political. It just shows power. And this is the photo in question.
Yeah.
So you were very much involved in this organization and in this march, and very much forefront in a lot of photos of trying to have dialogue and communication with the parties to be and respectfully state your position.
Yeah, it was just kind of funny how that all came together. To be completely honest, like they didn't even want me to talk after I spoke with a couple of the organizers at the event, and I kind of told them my issues in the community and where I kind of stood with a lot of the youth in the community and where my message would be sent. They kind of shied away from it, but I think a few of the organizers in the community they weren't really from our community. So, when we all kind of showed up and gathered together at the beginning, I already knew what was on my mind, and I already knew I was going to get my message out, whether they're going to give me a megaphone, a microphone, or whatever kind of phone to talk. And then everything just kind of happened from there. I wasn't even supposed to have that megaphone when we made it to the Civic Center. And, growing up in Buxton and, being raised by my father, we were always told, stand up for what you believe in. And that was just a perfect situation and a perfect storm of me just standing up for what I believed in. And I think a lot of people in the community heard the message, felt the message, and agreed with the message. And they got behind me, and they really made it, a special moment for me. But I think more than anything, a special moment for the whole community, and most importantly for the Black community in Chatham. And it's still, I look at that picture to this day, and I still get an amazing amount of goosebumps and an appreciation, I guess. And yeah, it really, that whole event really, not that it opened up doors, but it really allowed now when I walk through a door that people go, okay, it's not just my energy that's present. Now it's like, okay, this guy comes with the whole community behind him. We're going to give him a couple minutes to talk now. So, in retrospect of that whole event, it's really had a greater impact than just that day.
That's awesome. You've had great impact. You not only just within our own culture, but in wellness. Now we're talking physical wellness. You help people get physically well. You take up what it is that they want to do, their charge, and help them with it. But you also work, and we'll talk more about that. But you also help out with mental wellness.
Yes.
So helping out through the Bell Let's Talk and supporting mental health and being there to support them is I think that's extremely important. Do you want to talk about both the physical wellness and the mental wellness as well?
Yeah. I honestly, I really think, there's lots of different type of people in the world. You have, people that are just gifted really physically strong, and you have some people in this world that are gifted very mentally strong. But I don't really know where I fall. But I know I have good days and I have bad days, and I know that I'm very fortunate for my good days, and I let that kind of ride my bad days. And I just try to send that message to everybody that I kind of cross paths. I'm really, I woke up a few years ago and I just knew that my mission in life was every day I wake up, I have to be a better person every single day, and I have to make a valiant effort towards doing that. And I think through that, conversating with people and just being kind of who I am in the community, a lot of times I think I have a greater impact with kids more so than the adult population. But I get a lot of kids that they won't have the conversations with their parents or their teachers, but they can relate to me, so they come with their problems. And a lot of their problems, although I can help you fix your physical problems very easily, the mental side I find is more of a struggle for most people. And I try to keep my positive attitude, and I try to let that energy fall off into them. And sometimes that's all people really need. It's just, a little bit of hope and a little bit of guidance, and just somebody that's shine a little bit of light down the tunnel for them.
That's awesome. I mean, you're just there for them.
Yeah, exactly.
You're just there. You can hear, you can feel it. It resonates. We're going to come back and talk a little more to you in a minute about some history, because you have a phenomenal opinion on history, and we'll talk about a few other things. The unique thing that bridges the two of you together, not only you're probably close in age, I think you know each other, but you both hail from the same area, which is North Buxton, which is a phenomenal, rich heritage small town in our neck of the woods. So, Mr. Brandon,
hello,
my man. Brandon apparently plays the saxophone and the trumpet.
Now, I'm a pianist at heart.
Okay.
I grew up, my mom was a piano teacher, Shelly Shad.
Yes,
and,
I remember Shelly. Big smile, happy, always happy.
Yeah, and then I just I started picking it up myself and taught myself. My mom was a little bit too strict, so I taught myself how to play, and then started in the church around 14, 15, and playing in the church, and played for them for about 15 years.
Excellent. You have a bit of a side hustle as well, or business on the side. You are definitely entrepreneurial in what you do. I've got some pictures here. I want to show a few of them. One of my favorites is this one here. So you are laser cutting wood, is that correct? Or CNC cutting wood?
Yeah, it's a CNC machine and using a router. I haven't upgraded to a laser yet, but yeah, using a CNC machine for doing the routering and with different bits and doing different things like this one behind me here, or the one up there. Yeah, just doing different things and designing that. But that's not my main hustle there, so to speak. The main thing that I'm getting into is coming shortly. I have to wait till warmer weather so I can better prepare these next, I guess, a side hustle. Yeah, next side hustle. So it's a little bit too cold right now, and it can affect these tables that I'm going to be making. So it's called river tables, and using epoxy. And if it's cold, it takes longer. When it's warmer, it doesn't take as long to make. So.
Nice. So you enjoy working, obviously with woodworking your hands, and you've got a creative mind, and you're looking at I'm assuming live edge and figuring out how you can make it dance and sing, and I think that's absolutely phenomenal. So we have some other shots that you provided for us to take a look at. So this one here, I love that as well. Great. So you're doing some home decor with a message in wood. This is very cool. I mean, I think every guy needs one of these, so you know where your phone and your keys and your change are, because I lose mine constantly. So how did you get into doing woodwork?
I'm sorry, I think my video cut out there for a moment.
Oh, I hear you now.
Sorry
Are you
about
there? That's okay. How did you get into doing woodwork?
Well, I've always been interested in woodwork. I did a lot of construction when I was younger, and then I was just doing structural, like houses and barns and stuff like that. And then getting into this was going to be a whole new lifestyle change for me, and I never really liked the smaller, more intricate, but I wanted to get into it. I saw it was, this is more my area, dealing with wood, so I was trying to make something a little bit nice. I found out about the CNC machine, and involving some of my skill to, cut the wood and form the wood, and like make it nice, sanding it down with all the different sandpapers and stains and all that stuff, and just making different pieces that really appealed to me. Also sending out messages on different signs that I thought other people would appreciate. Like I'm a Christian man myself, and so I this is a great opportunity and blessing to be able to make things like, like the sign here, something to, express different verses of from the Bible that you liked, or different sayings or something to help inspire others, or in Christianity. So it all just started from working with wood. I've always worked with my grandpa, St. Clair Shad, who was a construction worker, and he taught me everything I know, and then it just stumbled upon this with the CNC machine.
Excellent. Those messages in words, small phrases, even just a single word, emblazed in wood, hanging on a wall. They can remind you of so much. They can, sometimes they catch your eye at the most needed moment, right? So, whether you're a believer or not, you can take some solace in something that is said, that you can take away, and whether it's a great saying from Facebook or the internet, or the interweb as I like to call it, or from the Bible, it still holds up. So keep doing that. You probably don't realize how many people glance at those words that you've emblazed when they really need it the most. So keep it up. Absolutely. So are you working out of Buxton?
Yes, I'm working out of my garage. So for right now, I'm going to be working on extending off of the garage. We're living in an old house.
Mm-hmm.
So it was my Aunt Dorothy's, and we're doing a lot of renovations right now. So that'll be one of them, to extend off our garage and make room for these river tables and more signs and everything that we're going to be doing. And but this is that's all I'm doing for right now.
That's a lot. Don't kid yourself. That's a lot right there. So let's bounce back to Frankie over here for a second. Frankie, we got a little message that just came in for you that says, hi Frankie, great dude. And he is a great dude, and so is Brent. Brent is also a great dude, a great doer, a great leader. I probably should have Brent on here or something. We can talk. Him and I could talk for hours. But thank you, Brent. Frankie,
Brett's going to have an effect on our community. Brett's done things in this community that will have a ripple effect that we will feel, that I'll be telling my grandkids about.
Absolutely. 100%. 100%. I mean, every community, every culture, every organization, they all struggle. And actually, when I was fishing through looking for content for you, Frankie, today, I came across this on, I think it was probably on the Peak website, and I thought it really spoke about struggles and how the struggles along the way are meant to shape you for a purpose. And Chadwick Boseman was a phenomenal actor, gone way too soon, but those words are very, very true. I mean, we have those struggles for a reason, and anyone knows that anyone that is a faith believer knows that those struggles are there for a reason. Even if you're not a faith believer, you know that those struggles are there. You might know that those struggles make you better, that you learn something. So that's what's really important. So we all have our struggles, and helping the community out to be a better place, like you and Brent do, and Brandon makes the struggle a little bit easier. So we thank you for that. You also, Frankie, Mr. Parker, work with a lot of basketball teams.
Doug, you did an amazing job pulling these pictures. My goodness.
You would be surprised at the things I find on the internet.
Yeah.
You want to talk about your?
I love
your
basketball, Doug, and I love the kids, and I love when I could take basketball and mix it in with the kids. So, like that right there, that was a perfect storm. That's kids that want to be on a basketball court with the basketball, that came all the way out to my community in Buxton, and were willing to come out there for a couple hours every weekend and put the work in when everything was shut down and there was nothing else to do. Those kids showed up, took the 10, 15-minute drive out to Buxton. I think the twins were the only ones there that had the license, or the ones driving. I mean, they all carpooled out. And then, I mean, selfishly, I got my daughter right underneath my armpit there. So every single one of those kids in that picture are all great role models. So the more I can keep them in my circle, the more I can keep good people around my daughter. And that right there is a perfect storm in Frank Parker's world. Right
there you go. Perfect. It's who you surround yourself with, right?
That's right.
And who you can help and who can help you, because we all need a little help along there. There's a song about that, right? You know, so coaching by day, by night, like you're coaching tonight, you're working tomorrow, you just 24/7. You're one of the hardest working, next to James Brown, you're probably the hardest working man I know. You just constantly go. So we really appreciate that. I got some questions for the two of you. So I didn't send you any questions in advance. You guys, are able to think on the spot. So I didn't think it was necessary, but I asked this question on the last broadcast for the Black-owned small businesses. So who's your favorite Black pioneer? And I'm going to go first and give you guys a bit of time to think. I'm going to tell you a very, very, very brief story. I didn't know this person. I didn't know this woman. I didn't know of her. Maya Angelou. I came home sick one day, and I worked in Blenheim, and I came home sick, and I crashed on the couch, TV on, out cold, and I woke up, and Oprah Winfrey was on. And Oprah, if you're watching, let me know, because you and I, girl, would be friends. And she had Maya Angelou on, and I saw this woman when I woke up from this bit of a fever, and I thought to myself, good Lord, she reminds me of my Aunt Fern Shreve, who was from Buxton, and very strong woman, would tell you what she thought, no questions, no holds barred. And she sort of reminded me of that. Although Maya Angelou, of course, is a poet, an actress, and a singer, and she, I thought, was a pioneer for a lot of people, regardless of race, color, creed, or what have you. So, Brandon, you got one for us? Who's your pioneer?
There's a lot. First, I gotta, the first Black entrepreneur, inventor, the one who created the toilet. I gotta thank him for that. But no, for real, I didn't know him, but my favorite entrepreneur is my great-great-grandfather, Ira. Ira and my great-grandmother, Saxonia. I never got the chance to meet him. He died way before his age, too, when my mom was 12. But all the stories I've heard of him and all the things he's accomplished really inspired me in my life to want to be something of that nature. And how he worked with Maple Leaf Band, when all the kids in Buxton, everybody was in it. Seeing the list, there wasn't one person in Buxton who wasn't in it. And that was what I wanted to do. At first, but circumstances led somewhere else. So here we are. But maybe one day, who knows? Maybe I can be helping kids learn how to, learn music and march in the marching band and so forth. But yeah, that's my favorite Black entrepreneur right there.
So last week on our show, I asked the question to Shauna Travis Reagan, or as I like to call her, STR, and Chris Prince. I asked them the same question, and my favorite entrepreneur was your grandpa. I remember going to the store. I remember the smell of the store, the creaky floors, the post office, the butcher twine that he used to tie up packages and meat. We called him Bubbles as a nickname because he always gave us bubble gum. And I remember the room at the far end of that of the store that he had all the instruments. And my sister, the oldest of our family, marched. She's one of the majorettes back in the day.
Nice.
With the little fringe dress and the white boots and the baton and the hair pulled back. And he was phenomenal. He was my favorite local Black entrepreneur. So you hail from some pretty good stuff, buddy.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
All right, Mr. Parker.
I wish I could come up with a Parker for you that was an entrepreneur, but we'll save that for another conversation.
It'll be your next generation talking about you.
I'm going to stick with Brandon's theme on his shirt there. We're going to go with A.D. Shad's daughter, Marion Shad. I think, and I only pick her because I've been talking about her so much in the past couple weeks. I've asked every single kid that I've crossed paths with over since the beginning of February. Every single day I see a kid, I say, did you learn about Black History Month in school today? And unfortunately, the majority of them say no. But when I get on that conversation, most of them, they're interested. So a lot of my conversations have been with my daughter's friends. So Marianne Chad is going to talk about the conversation for me. But, what she was able to do in her lifetime with not the little resource she had. I mean, Abraham Doris was a very educated man, and obviously, expected great things from his kids. But, Marianne Chad was a lawyer, a teacher, a Howard graduate. She owned the printing press in town. She was a women's right an activist for women's rights. You say I'm a busy person, but I look at somebody like Marianne Shad, and I still got a long, long way to go.
Mm-hmm. Phenomenal. People don't know half of what you just said. That's the sad part. I mean, people don't know half of that. I mean, even me, as a young child growing up in the culture, I grew up in Dresden. I think I was at Uncle Tom's Cabin once as a kid, and it was a school trip, right? And as an adult, working with the Underground Railroad, I learned a lot more, and it humbled me. It really humbled me. So it's pretty phenomenal. I could have Shannon Prince on here and anyone from the museum talking about the Black entrepreneurs and the inventions, and it would just go on and on and on for hours. So yeah, it's pretty phenomenal.
It is.
So I asked this question. I haven't asked this in a while. I'm going to ask you guys this, just sort of put you on the spot one last time before I let you go. Actually, no, two questions. One, do you have any Buxton stories that you, well, keep it PG, that you can share about either entrepreneurship or culture or the people or the any of that? And I'll have Frankie, I got you on screen, so I'm gonna have you go first.
Yeah, I mean, Buxton's a special place. I say that. I mean, I think a lot of people come to Buxton, and a lot of, they might come for Labor Day and say the same thing. Oh, what a special event! Or, they might have came out to the museum and said, oh, what a special museum! Or, growing up in Buxton was unlike. I don't think you can grow up in very many places like you can when you grow up in Buxton. And I always say, when I explain my childhood in Buxton, I explain. We were just talking about I asked you how you related to Shannon there yesterday when we spoke, and her mother, she lived across the street from the park growing up. And I always say it takes a community to raise a kid. I think that's why I'm so active in my community. But I was really raised by a community. I mean, here's a funny one for you. So, we're a bunch of kids, we're up Buxton, all we did was play basketball. Brandon will tell you this every single day. Meet at the stop sign, head up to Buxton, play basketball till the street lights come on. Everybody runs home because you have to be home when the street lights come on. But, we're kids, we're up Buxton, we're acting crazy, we're up there, we're cussing, we're swearing, we think we run the world. I walk in the house, and whack, back of my head, my mom slaps me. What was that for? Why is Mrs. Robbins calling me, telling me you're down there cussing and swearing? But that was the community I grew up in. Whether it was us not acting right, us being hungry, it didn't matter. It was always community based. Yeah. And it's just a special place to grow up. And I have so much. I know so much of our local history, but it's not like I sat in the classroom and learned this. People like Brian and Shannon, growing up, they made sure we were part of reenactments and part of everything that was going on Labor Day. And you don't really understand these stories at the time, but as you get older and these stories start making sense. I remember I did a reenactment for the Buxton Militia. What's the Buxton Militia? I don't know, they went back and fought in the Civil War. I didn't know nothing about the Civil War. Now, to explain history to people, I have to start with letting them understand American history and how they had Confederate states and Union states, and then we had a Civil War, and that's why we know the states as the United States of America, not the Confederate States of America. And during that Civil War, Buxton sent a militia down to help the Union in the Civil War. But I never knew any of that during the militia reenactment I was doing. But once I started understanding my history, and all these stories really started making a whole lot more sense, and they give me goosebumps now when I talk about them, because I really feel like obviously I wasn't part of it, but I was really a part of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. You can only have that effect in a place like Buxton. But let me tell you something about Brandon before Brandon talks.
Oh, okay, good.
Brandon has artwork in multiple people's houses. So he's talking about his woodworking. There's multiple people's houses you could go to in Buxton and see some of Brandon's actual hand artwork on their walls, and they would absolutely blow your mind.
All right. No. Brandon, he's telling stories here.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it, Frank. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I used to be an artist. I'm trying to get back into it for my kids. My kids are becoming pretty good, getting in the arts. But and truthfully, I am not born and raised a Buxtonite. I was born in Windsor, and I was raised in Windsor until I was about 14, 15. And then I moved down here. But periodically throughout the year, I stayed with my grandparents, St. Clair and Shirley. So I would stay up for Christmas or March breaks and stuff like that. And sometimes, I get to hang with Frankie, and Frankie would scare my grandmother climbing the tree as high as he could. I didn't get to have those connections with all of the other Buxtonites, that everybody here got. So it was when I moved here, it was I thought it was going to be something easy, but it wasn't at first until I got into the church and I got meeting all the other Buxton friends and everything of Frankie and Tyson and Roderick and all these guys, and meeting everybody, and then it got easy. Everything I wanted to run away so bad when I was 15 because I hated the place. But then as soon as I got involved in the community just a little bit, everybody just piled on, and the love was felt from every corner of it. And that's what I've learned, and that's why I've stayed. I even moved out to Edmonton for a brief moment, trying to find myself as a man and becoming who do I want to become and what profession do I want to get in. I moved 2,000 miles away, or kilometers, and found myself moving right back because I missed Buxton, and that was in me. This is where I want to be this till the day that I die, not just because of the place, and this is where my family was, or just because of the history, all that, but the people here. It's just the love and the connection, and us having to connect and knowing where you come from and knowing who this is and who that is, and making those connections because it means something. We're rooted so deep. We have to keep that alive.
It's very true. So I'm going to give you a little bit of clarity here, because we are all Buxtonites. I grew up in Dresden all my life. I came to Buxton every summer to live on the farm on the 9th concession. And although Myrtle Shreve would tell you it was Fletcher, it was Buxton. And I didn't get to meet at the stop sign and go play basketball. I stayed in Buxton. But when I went downtown to Buxton with my grandparents, it was to church or to the store. It was supervised, but you can feel the tapestry that is so rich in Buxton. And Buxton is very accepting. We still go to Buxton as much as we can. Obviously, pre-pandemic, we went more often. And my youngest son, Wesley, said to us one day when he was little, "Why don't we live out here?" And I knew he wanted to live out there because you can do things in Buxton you can't do anywhere else, right? And can I get an amen on that?
Good and bad.
I knew he wanted to move out there so we could have like all the toys and live on a farm and run ATVs and skidoos and all that. But there are things you can do in Buxton you can't do anywhere else, and it's one of the most accepting areas. But yes, Even no matter where you're at, you mess up back in the day, and there was a phone call made to your mom before you got home, and they were waiting for you, and you got the slap or the spank or whatever, because it would travel like lightning home. So
Mhm.
yeah, true, very very true. So welcome to Buxton.
That's right.
As I say a lot, when I'm in Buxton and we're at baseball, and because I got a mouth on me, and people show up for baseball, I'm the one that's making Shannon Prince laugh because I'm like, "Welcome to Buxton. Make sure you hit the gift shop." But yeah, Buxton is like no other. So you are certainly home, my friend. So
I think that baseball you're talking about, I think that if you look at the kind of how they run that, it shows you how special Buxton is. Considering every team travels to Buxton on a Friday, Buxton don't leave. Buxton has a home game every week.
That's right.
Every team travels to Buxton to play in Buxton,
and they all want to. They all want to come to Buxton.
That's it.
They may not want to go the first time, but after they've been the first time and they drink the water, they're like, I got to come back to Buxton.
Ain't no well water like that Buxton water.
Oh my God. My Nana would bring a big glass jug of water wherever she went. If we went like kind of to Windsor for a picnic, or whatever. I still have that glass jar. It's this huge screw top big jar, about 2 liters, and I still have it because she carried it everywhere, and she'd fill it up with Buxton water. So anyway, guys,
just don't wash your white clothes in it. You'll be all right.
True. Guys, thank you very much for coming on. I'm going to put you in the back room for a quick minute. I'll come find you in a second. But thank you again for being on here. I really appreciate your time, your energy, and your stories. And I'll be right back. Hang on, guys. So that concludes our episode 2 of Black-owned businesses. Now, I want you to know something very important. And I don't bring my day job into what this is. I started this as a passion project because COVID was happening and I was stuck at home, and I wanted to reach out and talk to people. And I followed a mentor, a friend of mine who does something very similar to this. And my day job works with entrepreneurs through our small business center here in Chatham, Kent, part of economic development. And I don't usually let the two lines cross, but I'm letting them cross for this month and maybe this month only, because it's so important to shine a light on businesses, all businesses, to be very, very clear of that. But right now, shine a light on Black businesses, because it's important, because we should, because I want you to be informed. And when you come here, I want you to laugh. I want you to learn. You might even cry, but I want you to be here and I want you to be engaged. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming to engagement. Be sure to follow us on our retweet, our re-engagement on Sundays at noon. Talk to you soon.